If you visited the small Italian town of Correggio in 1939, everyone would have told you to visit Leonarda. She was the town's favorite grandmother. She was a sweet, stout, middle-aged woman who was famous for two things: her incredible fortune-telling abilities and her delicious, crunchy tea cakes, which she served to everyone who came to visit. But the neighbors didn't know the secret ingredient in Leonarda's kitchen. They didn't know that the tea cakes were the only thing left of their missing friends. To understand the horror, you have to understand the motive. Leonarda wasn't driven by hate. She was driven by a twisted form of love. In her youth, a fortune teller had cursed her, predicting that all her children would die young. And tragically, the curse seemed real. Leonarda had been pregnant 17 times. 3 resulted in 10 died in their cribs. Only 4 survived. She was a woman driven mad by grief and superstition. So, when her favorite surviving son, Giuseppe, was drafted into the Italian army for World War II, Leonarda snapped. She believed the only way to keep her son safe from bullets was to offer a sacrifice to the spirits. A life for a life. She didn't want to hurt just anyone. She needed lonely souls. Women who wouldn't be missed immediately. And as the town's fortune teller, she knew exactly who they were. Her first victim was Faustina Setti, a lonely woman desperate for a husband. Leonarda told her she had found a suitor in a distant city. She convinced Faustina to write letters to her family saying she was leaving and not to look for her. Faustina came to Leonarda's house for one last glass of wine before her trip. She never walked out. What happened next is a matter of police record, and it is stomach-turning. Leonarda didn't just hide the body. She needed to purify the sacrifice. She dismembered the remains and placed the pieces into a massive soap-boiling pot. She added 7 kilograms of caustic soda, an industrial chemical used to dissolve cloxane. Stirred the mixture for hours. She boiled her friend until the body turned into a thick, dark, gelatinous mush. She poured the mush into buckets and let it cool. As it tarded in it, she cut it into bars of creamy soap. She added perfume to hide the chemical smell. For months, she gave this soap as gifts to neighbors and friends to wash their clothes and faces. But that wasn't the worst part. Leonarda had kept the victim's blood. She waited for it to coagulate in a basin, then dried it in the oven and ground it into a fine red powder. She mixed this powder with flour, sugar, chocolate, milk, and eggs. She kneaded the dough, made tea cakes, and baked them. As she later confessed to the police, "I ate them myself, and I gave them to people who came to visit. Giuseppe and I also ate them." The sacrifice didn't stop there. Leonarda believed her son was still in danger. She needed more. She targeted a second woman, Francesca, claiming she had found her a job at a school. Francesca ended up in the pot. Then a third woman, Virginia, a former opera singer. Leonarda described Virginia's flesh as fat and sweet, claiming her high body fat content made for the absolute best soap. The plan was perfect, except for one mistake. The third victim, the opera singer, had a sister-in-law who was suspicious. She had seen Virginia enter Leonarda's house, but never saw her leave. She went to the police. The police raided the home, expecting to find stolen jewelry or money. What they found in the kitchen cupboards terrified them. Leonarda was arrested. During the trial, the magistrates couldn't believe her story. They thought she was lying to protect someone else. They believed it was impossible for a small, old woman to dismember and boil 3 bodies alone in such a short time. Leonarda was offended by their doubt. In a moment that shocked the courtroom, she shouted, "If you don't believe me, give me a body and a pot, and I'll show you right now." She was sentenced to 30 years in prison and 3 years in a criminal asylum. She never showed remorse. To her, she was just a mother protecting her son. She died in the asylum in 1970. Today, the large copper pot she used to boil her neighbors is on display at the Criminology Museum in Rome. But the true horror is the thought that lingered in the town of Correggio for decades. Hundreds of neighbors had visited her. They had washed with her soap. They had eaten her crunchy tea cakes. They realized, too late, that they hadn't just witnessed the crime. They had consumed the evidence. Thanks for watching. If you found this story fascinating, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the darkest corners of history.